capacity. And I think part of the reason we get these arguments that are pitched to the level of the gentleman is this attempt to make an argument for someone who won't be convinced by the sage talk. You know, here's how you can have status, or here's how you can be respected. In all of these accounts, the person who prizes status is considered easier to work with because that person, because they want to be praised, all you have to do is tie the good to what's praised or honored in the society, and that person will act as if they're a good person.
Do you think that the person who is, how do you say the term here, nouveau rich? Do you think that person, through the, you know, maybe not through, say, this discourse you've given here, but in its more popular form that you are working on, that you are able to reach that person and make, we'll say him, realize that he doesn't have the thing that he thought that he had, and that actually the liberal arts person who's focused on studying philosophy or art is actually someone maybe he should either be jealous of or try to help. I don't know. What how do you,
there's
I'm
a
sure
genre
you know lots
for this.
Yeah.
The genre for this is mirror for princes.
Okay.
If we're going into a world where there's sharp inequality and working people have much less power, then the only way that we can have influence is to write mirrors for princes. And a mirror for princes is about trying to get someone who does have power, not you because you don't have it, but someone who does have power to consider that maybe there's something in all of this. And in a society that's really sharply unequal, the only defense you have against ravenous Nietzschean nihilistic instincts on the part of the person who has power is this kind of discussion. Now, does that make this discussion just an instrument in trying to make someone who's more powerful hurt you less? You know, maybe Nietzsche would think that. But I do think there is something to it.
Well, this relates to my conversation with Helen Rollins that I'd mentioned at the beginning. You know, she, at one point in her career, was tutoring the children of billionaires. Has she told you this story?
She's told me some stories about
the
tutoring days. I don't know if this is one of the ones I've heard.
Oh, well, I guess I'm not thinking of a specific story, but the general takeaway was the children of the rich today can hardly get out of bed, much less push a button. Like they are, it's not that they're incompetent, it's that they are, in a sort of sense, almost unmotivated. Like they don't, and you know, it makes sense, right? They don't have relationships with their parents.
There's no love in them. Love is what drives us ultimately. You know, all of this death talk, it's not what actually drives us, it's love.
I like that, yeah. And desire the desire of the other. If they haven't had a relation with the other, how are they going to desire anything higher than the things that they ultimately burn out on really quick, right? And so I think there's a real need for this, a sort of a resuscitation of this genre that you're talking about, the Prince's Mirror. So the Mirrors for Princes. I'm curious, what are some of the top picks from the genre that you are interested in, or that you've drawn off of, or?
Well, you know, the most famous mirror for princes is The Prince. You know, Machiavelli's The Prince is a quite famous instance, and it's considered a subversive instance because it's one that's not interested in the good, right? Most of these mirrors for princes are interested in advice that helps the monarch to do a better job. And that doing a better job is tied not just to the good, but often to preventing rebellion or revolt. They tend to be written with Roman emperors in mind. Seneca, most of Seneca's writings are in this category. They're for Nero, to try to get Nero to behave. They don't work. Michael Sellos, in his Chronographia of Byzantine Emperors, is a great, little bit more rarefied example, where he talks about a series of different Byzantine emperors and their characters, and he tries to come up with a whole sequence of virtues that someone needs to learn to be able to rule well, and he tries to put them all in an order. And of course, when you do this, there's precision involved and risk. But this is something that is, we often see attempts to talk about sequences of progression for the soul or sequences of progression in virtues. Dangerous stuff, but people try it.
And so the struggle we're up against is that it wouldn't be for monarchs, it would be for the bourgeoisie or the PMC or the petty bourgeois. It depends on the kind of prince we're trying to reach, because those are three specific kinds of princes. But
Max Weber just laments that the bourgeoisie have no maturity, that there seems to be no way of reaching them. This is, I think, a major theme in Weber's writing that is sometimes overlooked, the sense that the bourgeoisie just can't subordinate themselves to the state. They don't realize that their freedom is only secured by the state, only realizable in the state context, and they continually act in a way which undermines the state's capacity to continue to exist.